Hello, my name is Kiselova Anna. I work in Institute of Applied Psychology. I am very glad to contact with you, dear colleagues, in this difficult time of pandemic, and I want to share the results of our research on the theme of openness of communication as a criterion of its productivity. We prepare this report with my colleague Peter Vlasov, and some words about our organization. We are a scientific, research, training, consulting and publishing organization. We deal with building, development and designing of modern business organization. And our report is about openness in communication. The organization constantly exists in the process of making, interpreting and transferring sense. This process is initiated by various centers, top managers, surrounding environment, clients, and thus the vision of initiator is repeatedly biased, while productivity of communication decreases. This evoked by such problems as complexity, changeability, uncertainty of external environment. Also by mediatedness of management, abstractedness, symbolism, individuality, and very many determined by huge amount of communication, and also high significance of consequence to erroneous actions. On the ground of our experience, we extracted some functional criteria of communication, productivity of communication, such as relevance. Relevance reflects the technology in content and in process. We understand upon communication productivity the quality of making, transferring, interpreting sense sufficient for real change in the environment. Also, we extract such functional criteria as real references, such as the communication reflects the actual state of affairs. Usability, when communication is clear and the content is clear during its perception. Reliability of communication, reliability of information. Communication volume, absence of information overload. Instrumentality, possibility to manage communication. Also, we saw such social criteria of productivity such as personification. Personification when communication is orientated on human, on user of information. Significance, reflect important content. Information trust, trustworthiness. Competence and knowledge ability produces and transfers knowledge and new information. And social criteria such as relevance of position corresponds to social function, psychological role, and the agent of communication. But there are some errors in communication which evoked by manipulation, some irregularities, functional errors such as situation when information does not reflect production technology. No. Also information overload. Not function but territorial principle when we need to back the information. Monopolization and necessity to back information, and situation when communication doesn't produce and communicate knowledge. Also is situation when communication doesn't provide the feedback or correcting action, doesn't change direction of situation. Social problem is mediatedness. Social problem is mediated because we communicate by means of email, information system. We are non-agency, non-orientated on specific recipient. We lauding and distorts entrepreneurs' vision from the culture of non-productivity. Also, communication may be non-functionality that doesn't take into account the psychological and functional role of agent. We conduct the research about openness of communication, founded on the basic principle of system text-man interaction. We ground on the notion of perlocutive effect, the effect when I influence one situation and I make the concrete changes in this. Perlocutive effect is not non-linear. This is cumulative effect. Also, we found on systematic approach, which means that linguistic structure of specially orientated text and communicator is a functional, purposeful system of interaction of man text. Our empirical research has the goal. The goal was to define communication, productivity, and principle of openness in the process of sensor making. Also, we deal with a sample of 72 top managers from 9 industrial and service organizations. The size of this organization were from 50 to 1,500 employees. Also, we use the data collection method of intertextual question when we ask our participant to generate the question to every position of text, every proposition, which is consistent to problem case and help our participant to understand its sense as accurately as possible. We believe that question is a means of reducing sense uncertainty. The result is one, hierarchical structure of sense making we discover. We see that there are 5 hierarchical levels. The lowest, formal level, it is not content level. It's communicative activity orientated on the form of expression, the emotion and such state, and shows personal attitude of the subject towards the object. Static content level, the next, establishes connecting between participant and subject of the attribution of the content in the text. Dynamic content establishes connection with action. Logic and sense level, the next, establishes logical and sense connection in content among subject, participant, action in space and time. Also, inferences fix the understanding of specific element of information, synthesize conclusion, something like insights. We discover 2 regularities. The first, correspondence of hierarchy level. Complex object determines the demands to cognitive behavior. We discover the regularity of correspondence between level of text complexity and level of interaction for integrative comprehension. Also, there are the second irregularities such as interrelation of sensor-making levels. Content and formal level of sensor-making contradict with logical and sense level. Sense-making on lower level prevents sense-making on the higher level. We also discover the personifying effects. It's something like personal interest, identification with situation, and this form a specific involved attitude that mediates the quality of sensor making. the higher are the requirements towards the clarity, the more attributes there should be to personifying effects. That is, novelty, real references, explicative power of expression, target function, validity, and conditionality awareness. When these conditions are productive communication and openness is possible. When no, productive communication is impossible, and it's impossible without adequate personifying effects and trustworthy attitude. We also have saw there such effect as real references. Real references, this situation when productive communication must have a real referent, must have expression, must be justified and determined by previous course of events, have real agent action in active voice. This provides grounds for trust and involve attitude and enhance their personifying effects. We discovered two structures which reflects hierarchical interaction, functional structure, content structure, and functional structure provides a perlocutive effect, and is presented by simple and contextual features. Simple features are fixed by concrete text elements, and contextual features have a complex indicator. And the conclusion of our research is such: openness and productivity is possible when two conditions conduct condition of perlocutive communication, principle of hierarchical adequacy, personifying effect, and real references. And this condition provide openness, productivity, and reducing the uncertainty, and also make possible to avoid the errors and information corruption in organization. Thank you very much for your attention, and I think that if you want to know more detail, I with pleasure contact there our email. Please send information and your question, and you're welcome. Thank you very much.